Gosh, I'm thinking of Ring a Bird on Chew.
We're on. Sorry.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. We're just having a conversation. So I'm going to start my favorite song, even though I'm late, and we're going to listen to it because it's my favorite song in the world, maybe. It may not be working for us today. There we go. So, I'm late, and as I was telling Jen, I always mess up the beginning of the show. His life. And her comment was, well, at least you're consistent. So, here we are. Taste Life Nutrition Radio. Thank you so much for joining us. I need to turn my speaker on, or my, and what are we about? We're about truth. We're about truth in healthcare. We're about truth in wellness and in life, and bringing to you people who are really, really super amazing at what they do and what they bring to the world and why they're bringing it to the world. And I'm still messing up constantly. Sorry. So I've also been away for a few weeks, like probably 2 months almost. So that also is the reason why I feel a little out of sorts. So I apologize, but still, the goal of this show, Taste Life Nutrition Radio, is to bring truth in wellness, truth in life, truth in what's out there that can bring goodness to your health, goodness to your mind, goodness to your soul. You know, it's not all about what, you know, the mainstream that we hear about. We have so much out there that we have access to, and so many people who have these beautiful minds and beautiful gifts who can give us so much more than what we know about. So that's what I try to do with the show. Even though I continually mess things up, I always bring in the most amazing people. And so today we have Jen Koken, who is a business coach, I would say a life coach, yes. Would you agree with
Looking
that?
at me?
Yes, I am.
I just say a coach. You know what I mean? Like I'm an executive coach, so I don't.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear business coach, I feel like people are coaching people around. Here's your marketing strategy, and here's this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do the nuts and bolts. I do mindset. I
Right.
can do some of that. It's just not my zone of genius. It's my zone of competence, but not what I love to do.
Well, when we had our first conversation back several months ago, she's talking about, you know, we talk about her life and where she's come from, which we'll get into because she's got such an amazing story. But she flips the imposter syndrome on its head, which I love. You know, so instead of, you know, when we have this imposter syndrome, you know, it's this self-sabotaging thoughts that we have and things that we do, and instead of saying we have to get rid of that, she says, let's use it. Right? Is that a good way of putting it? Yeah?
Yeah, because I think so many, you know, if you Google how to overcome imposter syndrome, and it's become a very, I don't know if it's because during the pandemic, people's mental health was, you know, like keeping an equilibrium and a positive mental state was so much more difficult because we weren't around other people. We were spending a lot of time alone with our thoughts, and or tied to our technology, and we don't have a lot of practice being still, being silent, taking technology Shabbats. So if you Google, how do I overcome imposter syndrome? Last week when I did that, there was 2.4 million tips on how to overcome it. And right? And I'm like, okay, well, if it's working, why the hell is there so many tips out there?
Right.
It's not working. And what I thought about was I love hiking. And so if I'm hiking and I'm trying to, you know, there's a boulder, I've either got to scramble over it, I've got to walk around it. I'm not going to like get a whatever crowbar and get it out of the way, but that thing has to stay stuck. So when you're saying overcome imposter syndrome, there's a thing that you've got to come over which causes it to stay stuck. You're actually interacting with your ego and your subconscious instead of using creative visualization and your superconscious to envision the life that you want to have. And so the work that I do when I'm with people is we get to the root of where that rock came from in the first place. We not only dislodge it, we get rid of it. So we're identifying a neural pathway, disrupting it, and then creating a new vision, a new future, a new neural pathway. And the cool thing about the brain is it doesn't know the difference between real and fake.
Right.
So if you're envisioning yourself speaking, coaching people from Necker Island, which happens to be one of my dreams. I want to coach people on Necker Island. I want to coach executives with, on that island. Your brain thinks you're already there. And so it's going to start solving the problem called get you to Necker Island.
Mm-hmm.
The most coaches, when you're trying to overcome stuff, you're interacting with a human and the brain that's designed to keep the thing it's a brain of alive and 40,000 years of evolution. You're interacting with its prediction, its prediction machine. You're not actually causing someone to get grounded in not only who they are, but the vision they have for themselves, and then providing them a roadmap to ongoingly create who they are and who they want to be, not as a future vision, but as a future vision now.
Right.
It's a very long explanation, but that's the work that I do.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And I think it's so important. It's so important to understand that, the negativity, the negative self-talk, all of these things, when you have goals and you stay stuck, they're going to just be that much more difficult to reach. And you gotta get outside of that, and you talk to somebody who can help you get outside of that. I think it's so important to find the people like you who can see what you don't see, because we can't see outside of ourselves so often. So real quick, before I get too much deeper, because I really want to jump into this, but I always start the show with gratitude, and I would love for you to tell us something that you're grateful for today.
I do this every morning, actually. I have a practice of writing 5 things that I am grateful for. And one thing that I'm grateful for today was the opportunity to be flexible with my morning, because I woke up and I had a massive headache. I had wine last night, which I don't usually drink. Mm-hmm. And I woke up with a massive headache, and I was like, good thing you've got a great company with a great boss. Mm-hmm. Who's going to let you is into your morning. Like, isn't that amazing? As entrepreneurs, sometimes it's can be not dicey, but can be stressful when you're the one running the company. But this morning I'm like, you know what? Thank God for that flexibility to sit and enjoy a cup of coffee and meditate and do my tapping and do all the things. So really grateful for flexibility this morning.
Good for you. Yeah, it's the most frustrating thing about age, I think, is how wine just is not your friend any longer. I get the same thing.
I love you. Like, it's the most frustrating thing, not the random chin hair, not it's the fact that you can't see without readers. I mean, when I turned 40, it was over. Yeah. I'm like, why overnight can I now not read my son's medication? Like, what is that? No, it's the fact that we can't metabolize wine. I like that. Yeah.
It is frustrating. I do love wine, and I still enjoy it periodically, but I certainly can not do more than a glass or two, because same thing, massive headache. It's just frustrating. So, what I'm grateful for, and so if you've seen the show, then you probably have a little bit of an idea about this, but if you haven't, then here's where I am. My mom was diagnosed with glioblastoma, which is a brain cancer. Gosh, must have been almost 2 months ago. But from diagnosis to passing was 6 weeks. So, here we go. So, the things that I'm grateful for her, for the ability to be an entrepreneur where I could leave my family here in Colorado, go to Arkansas 2 weeks at a time, so 2 weeks there, a week home, 2 weeks there, something like that, to spend time with her in the hospital, spend time with her at home, as she was going through her process of transitioning and being with Christ. And the people who have come out of the woodwork to support and lift up are amazing. And I'm just really grateful for, as much as I hate it, I'm so angry that all of this has to happen, I am also very aware and realistic that it has to happen and that it will happen. But as Jen and I were talking a little while ago, and I've said this before for other situations, and it's always true, is the things that are the hardest are the things that help you to grow the most. and I'm appreciative of that, and I'm grateful for that, and I learned a lot. I'd say one of the most frustrating things was the fact that I wasn't able to do anything except be there. You know, in my line of work, I'm a helper, I'm a researcher, I'm a guide. You know, I want to find answers, even if it's not the ultimate answer. I want to find answers, and that's what I did. Is I researched and I looked and I read and all of the things, and I couldn't use any of it. And all I could do was be there and be with her, and I'm just grateful for that opportunity, although there's a lot of frustration. So, yeah, that's where I am today, and I'm glad to be back here. Glad, for, Henry, owner of amazing KUHS Denver, to just, he's there. I had to cancel a show 10 minutes prior to the show back a few weeks ago. And everybody just took over, and it was just amazing. So I don't mean to ramble. I'm just really grateful for the place that I'm in. I'm, in this new world without my mom. And Jen and I had this conversation, and we'll get more into this because she went through a very similar situation, and I was reading her book, and I was like, holy smokes, this is me. And it was really so cool. And I think I want to, let's get into that here in a little bit, because I think it's such a great conversation to have, and I know it's going to resonate with a lot of people. I think it'll resonate with a lot of women who have to go through the process of losing parents. But I think first, and you tell me, because I don't really care one way or the other, but I do want to know, I want you to tell people, your story, who you are, where you came from, what brought you to this place, and maybe that includes the book that you wrote, which is an amazing book. It was so good. And maybe we just get to that a little bit. I'll leave it up to you and how we want to kind of go through the conversation. But she's got some great stories. You're hilarious, and I'm just excited to jump in.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump in with you too. We can follow it wherever you want to go. I mean, if the name of my book is When I Die, Take My Panties.
Which is amazing.
And I named it that because my mom told me to take her panties. So, originally when I was, it was like a month before she died, and I usually go to visit her for a week around my birthday and a week around her birthday. It's December 23rd, so always Christmas. And I would be with her around Christmas and New Year's, and then, my birthday's in August. I would also be with her at that time anyhow. So she was going through her stuff because she knew, we had tried everything, and she died of ovarian cancer. Was misdiagnosed for a year. This is really important for your listeners too, especially around their health. And she was misdiagnosed because there is no test for ovarian cancer. People think their pap smear is for ovarian cancer. It's not. It's for cervical cancer. Ovarian cancer, there's 23 types. There's babies that are born with it.
Wow.
It's like this very unique type that babies are born with, like in utero.
Oh my goodness.
Mostly it's women over 60, but I know young women 18, 19, 20 years old that got it, that had debulking surgery, which basically meant they had a full hysterectomy and then a lot of their other vital organs taken out because the cancer was there. And their big thing was their dating. Like, when do you tell your partner you can't have children?
Right.
First date, or once you're in love and then you're thinking about the future and, oh, by the way, I can't biologically have my own kids. So it was just, it was heartbreaking. And when my mom was going through this, so we were together in August, and she's like, I want you to have this jewelry. I want you to have this. And then she opens up her drawer. I kid you not, Nikki. And there's hanky-pankies, which
I love this.
I love hanky-pankies, most comfortable thong underwear in the
I'd
world.
never heard of them until your book, so.
So she opens up this drawer, and there's like 20 pairs in there. She had introduced me to them, years ago. And she's like, look, these are pretty much brand new. I haven't really worn them. Goodwill won't take them. You shouldn't throw them away. Take my panties. I was like, okay. And I did. I was like, I'm going to humor her, and I'm going to take them. But But yeah, pair would wear, I'd wear them. Pair would wear out. I'd replace them. And so when I was in the midst of writing my book, because my mom made such a difference, she worked for NASA, she was a scientist, she helped NASA design curriculum for inner city kids using the space program as a way to engage them in STEM and have more kids of color be interested in engineering and aerospace. And I said, I want your death to make a difference. And so as I was writing the book, I went to a conference and met with some publishers and agents, and one woman said to me, thank God for her, she goes, Jen, nobody wants another misery memoir. And I'm a stand-up comedian, so I was like, okay, well, here we go. We're going to take a different tack to it, and that's where the title came in. And let me say this just to kind of round it out, which is, for your listeners, for women in particular, here are the signs and symptoms of ovarian cancer so that you know, okay, and you're going to have all 4 of these symptoms for 2 weeks straight, and no change in diet or exercise makes a difference. So you're looking for the constellation of these symptoms. And remember the word beat, like you beat on a drum. B is for bloating. E is for eating, meaning you don't have an appetite or you feel really full quickly. A for abdominal pain, and T for trouble urinating. Your bladder feels full all the time, or you go and you don't feel like you can empty your bladder. So you're bloated, you don't have an appetite, or you feel full quickly. You've got abdominal pain, sometimes lower back pain, and trouble urinating. When you have, and what woman doesn't have those things every month?
Right, yeah.
You know, and that's why it's so hard to diagnose. So if you have all 4 at the same time and no change in diet or exercise makes a difference, you want to go to your gynecologist, bypass your primary care physician, your gynecologist, and say, prove to me I don't have it. The only way they can prove it is if they biopsy the tissue. And I have known, now I'm going to get broken up, 4 women who were diagnosed early after hearing me speak or reading my book, and each time I just kiss to God and I say, Mama, you saved one. Okay, we got another one. Okay, we got another one. Because I just don't want a family to go through what we went through.
Yeah. Wow. And it is eye-opening, because as I was reading your book and the symptoms that she had early on, these are things that I deal with clients all the time. I have bloating, I have gut pain, I have these symptoms, and it's eye-opening for me to really have that and be able to pay attention to that. Do you have, is this something that is a handout or something, a sticker, I don't know, to beat what beat means?
Yeah, I actually do. I used to keep it on. It might still be on my website.
Okay.
I'd have to go look to see if we still have the books on there. Then if you go to my website under the books, the 2 books that I've written, you'll see when I take my panties, and the card should be there, but I'd have to double check is the truth, because I don't take care of my website anymore. So
I know, I get it.
But I can send you something, like I could send you something that you could put attached to the show, so that if there's a way to do that, or a link or something, for people to get that for sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'll write myself a note.
Great. We'll do that. Also, for those who are watching on Facebook, we'll put the link in the comments section, so it's in there. We'll put a number of things in there, but including the link to your website and that kind of thing. But I think that if anything comes out of this show, hopefully it's that we can help people be aware of what it is what they're dealing with early on. And so this is early stage, right? In that these symptoms are early stage.
Yes, and so and my mom was thought she had candida. They thought she had IBS, and she's a vegetarian.
Yeah.
She's not a person who eats sugar. Like, she has been a vegetarian for 30 years, low on the, she exercises, she taught tap class, and the kicker was she got diagnosed a year after she retired. And when she was diagnosed, she had less than an 18% chance of living 5 years, and she lived 5 years, 1 month, and 8 days, because she was just determined that she was going to beat it. And we had some good time. We had remission. She was able to fly out for my wedding at the time in Colorado. And then she was there for me through my divorce, short wedding.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
One of my friends goes, I don't know, a week. That's what it seemed like. It was 2 years. We were together for 3 years. However, those symptoms are stage 1.
Okay.
And what's also key is women have to trust our intuition. We know when something's off.
Right.
And unfortunately, we're often told we're hypochondriacs, that we're complaining too much.
Yep.
And that's unfortunate. So stick to your guns, believe in yourself, advocate for yourself.
Yeah. That's one of the things that, when I talk to clients, or even potential clients, or if I'm speaking or here on the show, is, so often, and I think it happens to men and women, but I think it happens a lot to women, we're hormonal, we're emotional, we need to be, put on antidepressants. I get this from my clients constantly, that they're told it's either it's in your head or we need to put you on antidepressants, because they can't, whoever they're seeing, whether it's allopathic medicine, which is typically what it is, and this is not a hit on allopathic medicine, because allopathic medicine is amazing, especially in acute care. But when it comes to chronic care, and people, and they can't figure out what's going on and why and what these symptoms are, and they blame it on, oh, well, you just have IBS, or these just sort of umbrella, I don't know what it is, let's give it a name and a drug. These are the things that I try to, same as what you just said, you have to be your own advocate. Get out there and find somebody who is going to be an advocate with you and is going to dig.
Yeah.
And that's what we do in functional medicine and functional nutrition. Is the goal is to dig. Let's keep digging until we can start to find some answers and find that root cause, because rarely is it truly an emotional disorder,
But it isn't, don't you find though, it's usually related to gut health, and so there's something, we have gray matter in our gut, so whatever we're eating and it's fermenting in our gut, as soon as you clear up, I was talking to my cousin yesterday, and we have very similar allergies, like cashews and walnuts. I have histamine intolerance, and she does too, but she can't eat curcumin, which she was taking as a supplement for inflammation, and chicken and eggs, and there was like 2 other things, and she eliminated them. She goes, Jen, I ran up the stairs, I had no pain. And I said, all right, well, do you have to eliminate those forever? She's like, I don't know, but right now I feel so good. And that's how I feel, why I don't eat a lot of things, because I feel so much better, and my brain is clear, and my emotions are more stable. So I feel like a lot of it's gut health. Not that I'm a health coach, I just know a lot because I used to be an endurance cyclist.
Oh, I don't think I knew that. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So there's that's why it's called, in my world, it's a gut-brain connection, and my business partner's world, it's the brain-gut connection, because she's a neurologically based chiropractor. But there is that connection, and both are just as important as the other. And you have the vagus nerve that connects them both, and they speak to each other. The bugs in our gut speak to our brain, and the neurotransmitters speak to the gut and to the brain. We have neurotransmitters that are produced in the gut. It's so important to have that health of the gut, to have good mental, emotional health as well as physical health, because it will all be affected. And if you have these allergies or sensitivities, it may, like gluten, may only affect brain health. You may not have gut pain if you have sensitivity to gluten. You may have brain fog, schizophrenia, a number of different things that can come up with these different sensitivities that you think, well, it can't be food, it's something else, it's a neurotransmitter issue. Well, it can be food that can create these mental and emotional issues.
When I'm coaching my clients, I never coach them on nutrition, I refer them to you, but I always work with them on emotional release techniques, because our cells also have memory. So there's the brain, gut, and then there's also the body, where when you store all those emotions that you're putting a lid on, because you're not, I was always told as a kid, you're too sensitive, harden up, you're too sensitive, and then you go the exact opposite way. But if you have a lid on all those emotions, they are going to come out. And so whenever a client works with me, the first thing I send them is something called a damn it doll. Do you know what this is?
I have heard of it. I don't remember what it is, but I know, and maybe it was just from you with our first conversation. Yeah. So it's like a rag doll, and one of my friends sent it to me after I was divorced, and when you're mad as hell and you just want to run around and yell, take this doll and slam it and yell, damn it, damn it, damn it. So I always send that to my clients to help work through all the emotions that are coming up for them, which create dis-ease in the body, which then create disease. And that's why these conversations are so important, because we look at dis-ease or disease, right, as you said, as well, it's just a physical problem, or it's age, or it's genetics, or it's bad luck, or it's just the food I eat, or it's just lack of exercise. There's so many things that can create dis-ease, and so much of it is this pent up, could be anger, can be stress, can be trauma, can be the things that we tell ourselves. You take it however far you want to take it, but all of these things create dis-ease, leading
Yep.
to disease because they're inflammatory. They can create leaky gut. They increase cortisol levels, which can remain chronically high, which shrink the brain. I mean, you can go on and on and on to all of these, you know, in circle after circle after circle, and just downward spiral.
Yeah, it's interesting too because you know, one of the things we had talked about when we met was the fact that I was during the pandemic diagnosed with breast cancer in August of 2020. I'm fine now, knock wood. I plan to stay that way. But I had been when the pandemic hit, I had lost like 80% of my business because I was no longer traveling. I had a big corporate client, and they put the kibosh on the program that I was coaching. So I really had to think about how I want to reinvent myself, and because I've had the experience of feeling like an imposter and questioning and doubting myself. I had been through that process of realizing that all came from when I literally was 6 years old. So we were talking earlier about identifying that moment where imposter syndrome gets created. I was 6, I had a crush on a boy, so did my best friend. And we decided at 6 we were gonna kiss him and see who he liked better. And he kissed her, and he looked at me and went, "Ew!" And like, I know,
so hard,
sad.
so hard for a 6-year-old.
My whole life in front of me, just like that. So
Aww.
I know. And in that moment, and all the classmates, we were on the playground, were watching and laughed.
Oh,
You know, and I was like, don't ever put yourself out there again. I'm just going to be the funny sidekick. So what did I do for a career? I was in politics for 30 years, pushing everyone else to the front, getting other people elected. When my book came out, in 2016, I was laid off from my 4th job that I had had during the time I was writing it. And I had like a long conversation with God. I'm like, okay, clearly there's something here. There's something you want from me. And I'm going to take the case. It's not continuing to work in politics because you keep pulling that rug. So let's have a chat. And I thought the purpose was to educate women about ovarian cancer and be out speaking about it, which I did. The book became an Amazon bestseller. I was on the radio, blah, blah, blah. But it was a lot to hold all that grief for me.
Oh, yeah.
And to be in that space of grief. And because I had been a coach for so long with a big company, I said, you know what, and I had completed with them, you know, ended my tenure with them in 2015. I was doing that while I was in politics. I'm like, that's what I love. I love empowering people. I love seeing people in their zone of genius, loving themselves and really being at home with themselves. And so I began coaching and coaching women, executives and entrepreneurs in particular, because we question and doubt ourselves so much more. And the truth is, everyone has imposter syndrome, but there's very few male role models at the top. And so we don't necessarily have colleagues at our level where we feel comfortable speaking. So I began to get into this whole notion of imposter syndrome and getting to that root. And I'm saying all this because when the pandemic hit, I began going live on Facebook every morning to create positive vibes for my community. I began doing webinars, free webinars on anxiety and managing that, speaking a lot on imposter syndrome. And I sat on my balcony in July of 2020, exhausted, played out, toasted like a piece of burnt toast. And I said to myself, I can't do this anymore. I need a break. Now, I'm not one to grant myself a break. And I used to say to God, you just got to hit me over the head with a 2x4 because I'm so stubborn. And literally 6 days later, I felt a lump in my breast. I was reaching for something, and I felt a pain, and I was about to do a week's staycation, and I moved over, and it was a lump in my breast. And thankfully, I mean, it was, 2 centimeters, so it was stage 2A, but they basically were able to, it was attached to the nipple and areola, so they cut out that part. And that was it, and I had radiation. Didn't have to have chemo, didn't know the fate of my company or myself. But I will tell you, I'm like, I had that thought, I need a break. Let me stop. I was like, okay, God, I got the 2x4, I'm gonna take that back now. Nudges are great. Little tiny nudges, like, come to me and let's just leave cancer by the wayside. We don't need to do that anymore. But some, our thoughts become things when we think about, and that's getting back to this whole idea of always envisioning who you are, really, picturing who you want to be, where you want to go, because then the body will follow. Then the way the brain chemistry works, you're creating these dopamine highs where you're thinking about these positive moments. And that's why I start the day with gratitude.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
because
so
the brain
important.
will put you in that negative space automatically.
It will.
Just what it does.
It will. I need to take a quick break and give a shout out to our sponsor real quick. So first off, this is KUHS Denver streaming live, the best station in the world as far as I'm concerned. Amazing at what they do, allowing us to bring really cool, good content to you, and amazing people like Jen. So grateful to KUHS. Then one of my newest sponsor, it's been a few months now, but Cellcore Biosciences. I love innovation, and I love the smart people who are so innovative. I try to surround myself with smart, innovative people because, it just helps to lift me up a little bit. But this is a supplement company who I have discovered to be sort of ahead of their time, I believe, in the way that they work, and that it's mostly around their delivery system, which is unique to the company. And so they are research backed. They have the science. They've got they do trials. If you know anything about supplements, trials are incredibly expensive. That's why only pharmaceutical companies do trials for the most part. But these guys are doing clinical trials. They have lots of data, and the backbone of their company are these bioactive carbons. And the way that it works is it's not necessarily that the ingredients are unique, although some of them are a little bit unique, but it's the way the delivery system works to get those the ingredients into the cells and the way that they work. Maybe one day I'll tell you a story about my own experience. This isn't the time, but it's a little bit insane. It's actually a lot insane. I've talked a little bit about it on a couple of Facebook Lives, but it's truly amazing. They're a great company. You can only get Cellcore products through practitioners. So of course I would be one of those, but there are so many practitioners signing up with this company. They're still a pretty young company because of how awesome they are. They really get down to the cellular and the mitochondrial level, which is so important because we talk about root cause. If you don't get to that root cause, which is often as deep is, then you're not going to be able to really eliminate the issue. So grateful to Cellcore for all that they're doing. They're an awesome company. So let's talk. I wanted to ask the question, and because I think we talked about this a little bit early on prior to the show when we were chatting, and what you had said was you had learned a lot from your experience with your mom, which helped you get through your own experience of cancer. And I would love to hear a little bit more about that, because what we said was it's the hard things that teach us the most. And I would love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, there's a couple things in the book, and then just things for myself afterwards. I used to call it the Caregivers Blueprint. So if you're caring for somebody with any long-term illness or dementia or anything like that, and really this blueprint should be for living. The first thing is only deal with the facts, because everything else is conjecture. Everything else you don't know. What are the numbers on her scans? My mom's scans, my own. Anything else is worry. And whether you're the patient or the caregiver, I think one of the things that happens when we're the caregiver, we put ourselves aside and think we don't need to be taken care of, and that's not true. We really need to take care of ourselves. So number one, only deal with the facts, because that's going to also reduce your stress level and your cortisol levels. Number two, say everything, even the hard stuff. I remember when my mom it was the last year of her life, and she, we had been through everything, and she's like, okay, she tried a trial, that didn't work. She had, couple feet of her intestine taken out because the cancer had spread. That didn't work, and she was going to go get a second opinion. She said, what do you think? I said, I don't think you should do it. It was May. I said, I don't know how many more months we have, but why don't we get the kids, the grandkids, everybody together, and let's go. We'll all come to Florida where she was, and let's spend time together without you going through treatment and chemo and all this kind of stuff. I don't think you should do it. And there was dead silence on the other end of the phone, and she just said, thank you, I'll let you know what I do. And then she came back to me, she said, we're gonna do it. I said, great. And that's the third point, empower the patient's choice about their treatment. They don't have a choice about being ill. So when I was, you know, and these are three things I told my friends. I go, look, if what I tell you is, I'm gonna sit on my balcony eating barbecue with a tinfoil hat on my head and one leg up in the air, you better call me and ask me if I need another slab of ribs. I don't care how crazy I sound. Empower me, that's what I need right now. The other piece that I really learned, because I was raised to be a people pleaser, to be a peacemaker in my home, which there was a lot of anger, you know, unintentional, unconscious, but still. And so I created myself 5, 6 years old, make the bed, don't get mommy upset, put these things away, don't get daddy upset, etc. Well, that was always in my life, of being the people pleaser. And I learned the hard way that when you're ill, you really need to take care of yourself. So when I was first diagnosed, there was very few people that knew. Number one, I didn't want my clients to know, because I'm the sole breadwinner. I needed to keep bringing money in the door, but more than that, I wanted to be able to have my attention on them. Because then my attention wasn't on myself and how I was feeling and what was going on. And, you know, I used to lead big programs for 150 people, and I could get up there and lead with 102 fever and feel fine. It was the moment I stepped off 3 hours later, I'm like, wow, I'm really sick. I should go take care of myself, kind of thing, because I'm so with people and I disappear. So I didn't want my clients to know. I also didn't want it to be public, because I didn't want it to impact my business, and I wasn't author of my story yet. I was still greatly impacted. It came as a surprise. I'd had all the genetic testing after my mom, all of it, negative on everything, but guess what? 87% of breast cancer is not genetic. Has nothing to do with genetics. They don't know why women get it. They just get it, and 13% of the population of women will get breast cancer at some point in their lifetime, right? So I told very few people. I told the people in my business I needed to. I had my core group. And then all of a sudden I started getting Facebook messages from people saying, hey, heard what's going on. Let me know if I can help, in emails. And I finally reached the source and I said, you know, like, what's going on? And she goes, oh, you know, I just thought there are people that could help you. I said, even your ex-husband? And she had kind of a pause. She goes, I guess I should talk to my therapist. I said, yeah, please do. And then there was other people who wanted me to hold space for them, because that's the role I've always been in, while they process their upset. So I can't do it. You're not allowed. Rule number one, you're not allowed to be madder than I am. Or sadder than I am. Number two, you're not allowed to tell anybody. It's my news. It's not yours. You're part of this inner circle. And then as it wound up, before I had that rule, a dear friend of mine went to a friend of hers to ask how she could best support me, because this other friend, her best friend, died of breast cancer. And so this woman, Lee, came into my life, who set up a Caring Bridge site, and Lee and Amy would not let me go to one appointment by myself. And I had a circle of friends, each of whom picked me up and brought me to radiation. So I never had to walk alone. I never had to feel like I wasn't surrounded by love and support. And I, you know, really what I got out of this whole journey, and I hate it in the beginning when people would say, you know, it's going to be a beautiful time. You'll learn a lot from this. I want to throw a punch them. Like when my mom got sick, they're like, you know, it's going to be the most beautiful time of your life. You know what? Suck it. Suck an egg. Because it doesn't feel that way. I don't feel beautiful. She doesn't look beautiful. So take a hike. And so I, you know, would say to people, okay, and people would say stupid things. Oh my God, you're having radiation? My mother got so burned from radiation. And I would say, I'm RSVPing, no thank you. They would say, what? I'm like, please don't say things like that. And I'm hanging up the phone now. So I learned boundaries for myself in through all this. And I also learned how incredibly loved I was. And supported I was. And when I finally got to the point where I could be the author of my story, then I went public and we did a hashtag Check Your Chest campaign. Because mammograms were down 40% during COVID. And I wanted to make this, I wanted to have it make a difference with others. I also shifted how I ran my company, because I needed the mornings to like cry, journal, sleep in, because radiation's cumulative and you get more and more tired, but I was tired within the first week. But I haven't shifted that. I still, in the mornings, if I need to take the morning, I take it. If I want to work, I work. And it's caused me to stop working at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at the latest. It's caused me to take weekends off and really pay attention to self-care, because I have too many women I want to make a difference with, and I can't afford to not feel good and not fill my bucket before I fill theirs.
Yeah. I love that, and good for you. You know, like so many things that you just said, and my mind is kind of all over the place. But you know, I wasn't even in my mom's situation. I was with her through it. But it is interesting some of the things that people say. I was a little bit shocked, like, okay, that's probably more than I really want to know or hear right now, you know. So, you know, I think that would be a good lesson is, and I'm sure a lot of you out there can feel this, but, you know, thinking about what we're saying before we say it, you know, even if we're really close to somebody, you know, think about it before you say it and think about how it might come off, because these are pretty sensitive in difficult situations. Yeah, and something that you said a minute ago was not allowed to be madder than you, which I found interesting, because I'll tell you, I was a lot madder than my mom. And I don't know how not be, she just wasn't, she was just, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. We'll see you in heaven. And I was like, what? I don't even know what to do this. I don't know how to process it. I don't know how, so I was really angry. I'm still angry, but she wasn't. I mean, some, yeah, but anyway,
And maybe she wasn't expressing it. Maybe we don't know, you know, because we tend, when there's hard situations like that, we tend not to express. But I think what I meant by that was, don't be more angry than I am and express that to me.
I see,
You
yes.
know, I don't want to hold space for you.
Sure,
you know, I had
yes.
somebody one of my business partners who I told, and she's like, wait a minute, I just need time to be sad. And I was like, okay, well, hang up the phone and go frickin' be sad, but don't do it. Don't give me your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've always been that person who
Yeah.
coaches my friends.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say is, when people are saying these fakakta, that's Yiddish for crazy, and a different word, but I'm not going to say it, these fakakta things to you, they're really just trying to connect and identify,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
1 in 5 people will be diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
We're all going to
It's
deal with it. I'll
insane.
tell you the best
Yeah.
question to ask. You know, you could simply say, oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. What can I do to support you right now?
Right, yeah.
Because when people hear, what can I do to support you? I don't know. I don't know what I need a moment from now. Okay, what can I do to support you right now? Could you bring me a Coca-Cola? Because my tummy needs to be settled. You know, I have so many foods that I don't eat because of my autoimmune issues and because of my choice. I know corn impacts me. I know grains impact me, etc. People got me Grubhub gift cards. It was phenomenal. So that way, when I knew what I thought, there's only 2 restaurants I ordered from near me. One was lamb chops. I don't know why, but I was craving that. And one is this steamed chicken and green beans I get from a Chinese place, and that was kind of my go-tos. But people didn't have to worry about cooking something for me, and then I would have all this food in the house, and it was stuff I couldn't eat.
Yeah.
So what can I do to help you, support you right now?
Yeah.
What do you need right now in this moment? I need a shoulder to cry on. Great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I love that, and thank you. I think though, I want to talk about all of the fun things that you do. Let's bring it up a little bit, because this has been as much as I love this conversation, and I think we've given a lot, you know, especially when it comes to what to look for with both breast cancer and ovarian cancer.
Ovarian cancer.
Yeah. You are hilarious in what you do, or you're hilarious anyway as a comedian, but you give so much. You have multiple programs. I went through one of your little quickies, and it's funny because I kept thinking, okay, I want to work with her. It was, I think it's just 3 sessions. It's one of your little mini sessions, right? And then sort of my world was a little turned upside down, and I stopped doing anything except a little bit of work. But I want to talk about, you know, these things that you do and really dig into how you work with people in developing their imposter syndrome superpower. And I just want to have some fun with this, because I mean, you have so much to offer, and I want people to know all of these things about you.
Okay, well, first, I'm hilarious.
Yeah, yes, you are.
So I love doing stand-up comedy. I've been doing it for 16 years, and you know, creating my own business, my coaching business, and with COVID, kind of took a hiatus. But I just did a performance in Denver, and I was just in Charleston. And because the thing I love to do, especially when I'm doing stand-up comedy for companies, whether I'm the opener for a sales conference, et cetera, I like to get to know the industry and then roast the industry and roast the people there, which is super fun.
Nice.
And I always infuse comedy into whatever I'm doing. I'm very playful and irreverent, because one of the things that happens when I'm coaching people, even through imposter syndrome, and first of all, there's a quiz that people can take to get to understand imposter syndrome. We'll put that link on Facebook. If someone's listening live now, you can go to, and you're in front of your computer, you can go to jenkokenquiz.com to kind of get a flavor. Because when we're questioning and doubting ourselves, we're not sitting around going, wow, I just noticed I'm questioning and doubting myself. No, what's happening is everyone sucks, you suck, I suck, everything sucks, the world sucks, right? So it's I always say, when we lose our sense of humor, we're dealing with imposter syndrome, when you're stretching yourself. And I tell my clients, if you don't have it in some form, you're not playing a big enough game. Every time we go to stretch ourselves, the brain is going to start figuring out how big of a threat it is and figuring a way out. That's another way to talk about imposter syndrome. So you do the quiz, but then I offer only 4 times a year, and there's only 6 seats in each class, a master class. And I take you through 3 sessions with 5 other amazing women where we get to the root of your flavor of imposter syndrome. And we look specifically, I take people through a guided embodied meditation. Where are you holding that in your body? Some people will say in their throat or their jaw. Women have more TMJ.
Yes.
Other people will notice they're clenching their butt cheeks while I'm taking them through. Yeah, because we're like, that's our root chakra. We're like, close that root chakra and be safe, kind of thing. Some people it's lower back. A lot of women it's in their throat, in their throat chakra or their heart. And so I say to them, figure out where you're feeling it, because then between session 1 and 2. You're going to start to notice the red flags and the early warning signs. And sometimes you're only going to feel the feeling in your body, and you won't know. That's your tell, like in poker. Oh, wow, I noticed I had, my shoulders were tight. And in that moment, I realized I was trying to get it right. I had a client, I'll give you some examples of some of the incidents that people have identified. I had a client who at the age of 9 brought home a C on her report card. And her dad said, hey, what's up with the C? Well, Dad, it's average. Give me 1,500 words on mediocre, young lady. Right then, the brain's like, oh my gosh, just experienced embarrassment. Don't want to do it then. I got to get it right, got to get it right, got to get it right. So whenever she feels tension in her shoulders, she knows that's what she's falling back on, so she can do some deep breathing and get curious. And that's what we create by session 3. We invent a new neural pathway and a way of being, because we're human beings, for how we're going to show up and own our magic and own our genius, right?
Yeah.
I had another client at the age of 12, was walking to the store after school with girlfriends to get ice cream. 2 of the girls didn't have money. She offered to pay, and the other girl, the 4th young girl, said, there she goes again, trying to be helpful. Well, do you know, she was a terrible manager, because she just wanted people to go do their work. She was going to do her work, and she couldn't get promoted to the C-suite. Until I worked with her, we unlocked that, and she really began to think about empowering teams and connecting with her team. So it's amazing, these little innocuous events that happen that set that tone. So when we're working with imposter syndrome, we do get to it in 3 sessions, but that's the tip of the iceberg. And what part of the iceberg sank the Titanic? Was it the tip?
No.
Is everything you can see below the waterline, and that's what we want to get to. So then I either work with people, I have 2 programs. One is just one-on-one coaching, and some people want to be able to open the kimono with me. They don't want anyone else to know what's going on, and they feel more comfortable. Other people want community and tribe and accountability. So I have a group program as well called Unleash Your Greatness, because imposter syndrome keeps us from experiencing our greatness. And then a couple times a year, I do a 30-day challenge, which we're in the midst of right now, called Awaken Your Greatness, where I gamified my coaching, and it's on your phone, and you get me in your pocket for 30 days with little videos and inspirations and a greatness oath that you read every morning. That's super fun.
Yeah.
As well.
I love that. I love that. If you haven't, if you need to go to our website, because for one, the website's just really fun. It's really fun, which is funny to say about a website, but it's a great website. I do want to do your workshop. And there's so many things that I want to do. But you also, though, work.
I have 2 seats left in January, Nikki.
Do you? All right, write that
Only
down.
2, the 17th, 24th, and 31st.
All right.
So.
Cool. Very good. So go to our website. You also work with corporations, is that right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of personality assessments out there, you know, Myers-Briggs and Enneagram, and I'm trying to think of all of them. There's the one, I think it's yeah, like you lead with green energy and you lead with this, you're a 2. Like, I don't understand any of that.
Okay.
And first of all, why am I going to assess someone's personality at work? Let's assess their talent. So I use Clifton Strengths, which was developed by Gallup, to give people a sense of the things they're naturally talented at, and then I work with teams to transform their organizational culture based on strengths. So it makes those, you know, quarterly or annual review, and, you know, you shouldn't be reviewing your people annually, it should be quarterly at least, where you can look at how are they using their talents, and how does that map to their job responsibilities. And it's amazing what communication breakdowns we resolve once people know the strengths of the other people on their team. I was actually doing a workshop for a group of attorneys yesterday with FEMA, and one of the groups did a breakout, and they came back, they're like, wow, we realize we have so many people in harmony, and we're attorneys and litigators, like, what's up with that? And I said, well, is it more expensive to go to court? Yes. Wouldn't you rather mediate to a conclusion before going to court? Yes. So when you have harmony, you're finding common ground. Doesn't that make sense? Oh, yeah. And then one of the bosses, nobody on his team had harmony, and he was always trying to get people to find common ground, and they just wanted to argue. So it's very funny to kind of reveal some of that.
Yeah.
And I love doing that work. I do it with government agencies, pharmaceutical companies, healthcare companies, and broadband companies as kind of the different verticals that I'm working with right now.
Okay, how fun. So tell me how you got the nickname the Velvet Sledgehammer.
Because I tell the truth with a lot of love. As they say, the truth will set you free, and I say it will piss you off first. So usually I say the really hard thing that everyone else is thinking and nobody's saying, and I will deliver with love. And that's why I use comedy too, because when you say that hard thing, you know this, your immediate is like to be defensive, and that energy kind of collides with one another. It's the same principle of comedy. You're kind of taking people up, and then you're letting a wind out of their sails a little bit so you can lean in just a little bit further and lean in a little further. So that's why.
I love it. I love it. Cool. Let's see. I want to talk a little bit about, I think one of the things that stood out to me when I was looking at your website was it's helping people to have a plan. And then having that crystal clear vision. You know, I was kind of reading through all these things. And those 2 things really stood out, because I think okay, maybe it's because of me, you know, it's my own thing, right? Is I think I have a plan, and then I'm like, what's my freaking plan? And what's my vision? And, you know, what is it that you do? I actually just realized that maybe that's why it stuck out to me, because it's me. But funny how that works. So how is it that you help people through processes like that?
Well, it's, you know, what's so cool about this is it combines the coaching I've been doing for 30 years with the campaign work I've been doing for 30 years. The coaching's my zone of genius, the campaign work's my zone of competence. But it's all, you know, what I do is I remind people they're human beings, not human doings, because generally when we make a plan, it's in order to. In order to get better, because I should, because I messed this thing up, or comparison. And what I say is we need to take a step back. Who are you being? What's your vision for the future? And what are those, if you were to say, you know, you have a company, the radio station's a company, but Henry or you are also, you are your own company. You're the CEO of your own company called you. And what are those core values, like the future that you're creating from the present, that you want to have be present in every single interaction? So I know daily there's 3 core pieces for me: playful, loving, and peaceful.
I love that.
And so when I'm with anybody, that's what I'm pulling from. It's not values. You know, a lot of coaches do values work, and it's like tick off one box, the other box. We're creating a future from the future for you to live into, and then the plan gets connected to that. This is why people don't keep their New Year's resolutions, because it's always in order to. It's not stemming from core values.
Okay.
Actually, on my mailing list this month, I'm giving away 2 free workbooks. One about how to celebrate your wins from the last year, because we so focus on the negative, and when we do well, it's like, oh yeah, good, let me go to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly is how do you create resolutions that stick.
Yeah.
So
Great.
yeah.
Very good. Well, we're kind of at our point to where I would love if there's anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about, but I want people to know where to find you, how to find you, you know, and I want people to reach out to you. I think that you just do amazing work, and I think it's great. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've touched on a lot of topics, and so I don't think there's anything else, you know, other, I guess I would say, just recognize that you are a magical, unique creature, each and every person listening.
Mm-hmm.
And the who that you think you are isn't the who you really are. And when I say that, it's because we think we're some kind of, I'm shy, I'm this way, I'm that way. You're not. You are not some, you know, like, here's my water bottle. This is a fixed thing. You're not a fixed thing. That's why it's called neuroplasticity.
Right.
And anybody can change their brain to change their outcome, to change their future. Not even change, transform. Because we're talking about creating with words the future person we want to be now, and the future we want to live into now. So for people to get in touch with me, I made it really easy. JenCoken.com is my website, JenCoken.com. And they can email me too, jen@jencoken.com. You can take the quiz, jencokenquiz.com. Just made it really easy.
It is easy. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I took the quiz. I took your class. We'll be in touch. We'll do more stuff together.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for the book. Go to her website and download the book. It's a free book, right? It's a free ebook, isn't it?
No. For the When I Die, Take My Panties, that is on Amazon.
It is on Amazon. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay. I might have mailed you one.
I think that's what it was. Yeah. So, don't mean to lie, but it is a great book. And I think there's a lot to learn from it as well, especially those of us who are going through some, you know, traumatic situations of loss. It does happen, but it's good to have a little bit of humor in there as well. Of course, you can find me, tastelifenutrition.com is the website. Go to the website and you can, there's a button that takes you to rejuvenate your life, I think is what it says. Anyway, it's a free assessment. You can do that assessment. The results come straight to me. I reach out directly to you myself, and we talk about your results and how we might be able to modify your situation, or if we need to do some talking about working together. That's what it's all about. So my goal is to be a resource in whatever way that is. So with the show, with the website, with the Facebook page, and with Body Bliss, the course that we have launched. It's a very slow launch, but we're launching it. So
you've been a little busy.
Yeah, it's been an interesting time for sure. But Body Bliss is a course that we have created, and I say we because my business partner, Dr. Lynn Tran McDonald, who, if you watch the other shows on this station, she also has her own show tomorrow. So, check in for that. But this course is a 12-week course that we've created. It is on demand, it's self-guided, but it really takes you through the process of learning your body, understanding what your body needs, why your body needs certain things and doesn't need certain things when it comes to food, when it comes to, it might be toxic relationships, right? We talk a lot about cognitive health and the gut-brain connection and how important that is. This is something that we've geared it toward women, but this is really for anybody who wants it. It's not the right marketing thing to say we're supposed to niche, but really it's something that is good for anyone. One of the groups that we really are starting to kind of to look deeper into that we think can really benefit from a course like this are those who are pre-diabetic or have been diagnosed with diabetes, because I think that it really can change. It can change a world, when you start to understand your body and what it needs, and then your mind-body connection, and our toxic environment and so many things that affect us, and the understanding that when we have a lot of control over what we do, but also the body, when it becomes out of balance, sometimes the body just kind of takes control. That imbalance creates these chemical signals that then create cravings and thoughts and these things that we just don't really understand. And so I don't want to tell people that, well, you know, it's just not really your fault, because we do have so much control. But when things get out of balance, that control sometimes can really waver. And so that's what we want to bring back to balance, is bringing the body into balance so that there is that control over who you are, over your body, over your future, over what it is that you can bring to this world. And this is a course it's a 12-week course, but it's something that you can come back to. We are adding to it and just making it bigger and better. We've got cookbooks, and we've got videos and planners and assessments that you take throughout. It's a pretty comprehensive kind of cool course, and we're excited about it. So we'll put that link in the comments as well for anybody who might want to check that out. We would love for you to check it out. We're giving away some freebies also with this that will be in there, extra cookbooks and time with Dr. Lynn and me, and all kinds of fun stuff. So check it out. Thank you, Jen, for all that you're doing, and for just being such an amazing person in this world. And I think that's all we got. Thank you, and thanks everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll see y'all later.